talked earlier about defining a customer. And I think a mid to higher end store wants a customer that has more money in their pocket, as a general rule. And I think by virtue of having your picture, looking sharp like you do with a necktie,
Right.
and so on, I think that says something about your store. It gives an impression of your store that it would almost be hard to do in copy. But hey, this was like a first-class operation.
A picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, we are conditioned, we are trained to be responsive to visual cues, right?
Yeah.
So and that gets back again to that whole appearance aspect of whatever you do. I quote this guy all the time, but it was one of my favorites. A fellow by the name of Sergio Zyman, who was the chief marketing officer at Coca-Cola for many years. I don't know if he originated this, but he said it in his book, every detail either makes a sale or breaks a sale. Think about that. Every detail. So when you think about it in those terms, that little grammatical error, in the About Us page, nobody's going to notice that. Somebody will notice that, and you've lost a sale. Do you want to lose a sale? Yeah. Because you couldn't get the subject and verb to agree?
Well, it says...
it's things like that.
Well, it says really, I wonder if they weren't that persnickety about that copy, whether they're going to be that persnickety about my carpet or my floor cover.
That's right.
That would be the jump I would make.
That's right. So, details are important.
So, and I mean, I think it means that there needs to be a great deal of thought put into, okay, we're going to sit down and work on a site here. What do I want? And that's the hard part, which comes to the next thing.
Okay.
It would seem to me that rare is the retailer who can do a website effectively, or even would have anybody on the payroll that could do it. It almost seems to me you need a professional of some sort. You need somebody.
Well,
and even before I ask you that, we started talking about Yellow Pages, and there was a lot of money spent on Yellow Pages.
Oh yeah.
By floor covering people.
Sure.
I find just from talking to people that a lot of people have cut back dramatically on their advertising on Yellow Pages, as well as everything else, because they feel it's the digital age and so on. They need to allocate money for this digital marketing. They need to allocate money to build a first-class site that can compete with all these big box players and the other big retailers. What sort of a budget, rule of thumb, should somebody consider in putting a budget, and I'm talking about building the site, the content, etc., and then having something to perpetuate this, to update it on a ongoing basis.
Yeah, a monthly fee. I would say that for the majority of small businesses, okay, which I would imagine that most floor covering dealerships probably fall into, a good template-based site done well should be no more than 5,000 to 10,000. And that's building it, complete, what I call phase one. Okay, that's everything filled in, all the pictures in their proper places and so forth, all the contents there, and probably to the lower end of that. Where it's critical, though, is that if you're going to seek the services of an outside agency or freelancer or whatever to help you with this on an ongoing basis, then you need to budget a monthly retainer with that individual or firm in order to help you manage that site and to do the constant updates that are necessary in order to keep the content current and fresh. For example, I mean, your site should talk about, every promotion that you run, every sale, every event, every new product introduction, and so forth. That has to be reflected on your site. Has to be reflected everywhere that you have, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever. So there's just a lot of moving parts to that thing. The monthly fee, that could vary. Maybe it's $250 a month, maybe it's $500, maybe it's $1,000 a month. It depends on the size or complexity of what you're doing. But this should be part of your overall marketing budget because it's very important. This isn't some sideline. This is something that you need to make bedrock to your whole marketing strategy.
This is a pivotal part, as we said earlier. If people don't get on your site and they're not inspired once they get there, it's unlikely that person is going to walk through your front door.
It is your virtual home.
Yes, and I would say if you are suffering in terms of having people walking through your front door, one of the first things you need to look at is your website.
It's a big deal.
Is it delivering?
Yeah. There's lots of reasons why people, your traffic may be down, of course.
Lots of reasons.
Lots of reasons, but
that has to be one of the top three that you would consider.
Yes, but your web presence, yes, most definitely. What are you not saying that you should be saying? Or on the flip side of that, what are you saying that you shouldn't be saying? It's that kind of thing. The value of that outside party helping you it's the basic reason for any kind of agency relationship, client agency relationship,
exactly.
Because it gives you an outsider's perspective, which is primarily what they're designed to do, what they're meant to do. They essentially advocate or represent your customer. Okay, their job is to look at it from your customer's perspective and to represent them in working with you. Okay. If you don't have that, then you're basically denying yourself that kind of perspective that may give you the answers to a lot of problems that really seem insurmountable.
Well, there are people who have been doing websites in this business who are floor covering people who have been down that road before and bring all that expertise with them.
Right.
And I think that's certainly pivotal.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly not only specific information of the floor covering industry, but just in the ins and outs of the internet in general. Mm-hmm. And that changes hourly, it seems to me. So
well, I'm telling you, yeah, the whole landscape, it's almost, and I hear this everywhere, it's almost impossible to keep up with the changes in technology and the changes in the platforms that are available, and the capabilities in order to reach your customer in the digital age. It's pretty amazing.
Well, and I think the other thing, the person, and I would probably lean more towards a custom site myself. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that being custom developers are up to date with things that are changing. Mm-hmm. If you're doing well and appear on that first page in a Google search, you want to make sure to stay there, and that basically depends on the expertise of the person.
Well, yeah, it depends. It depends on content management, content creation, content management. It depends on any number of combinations between your organic search strategy and your paid strategy. It depends on any number of platforms that you may be using. And just like anything else, a lot of it depends on the market that you're in. Again, you're competing. Let's say your competitive set in Atlanta is going to be considerably different than it is in Billings, Montana.
Yeah.
So you're going to have even in the digital age, you're going to have a greater challenge in Atlanta than you are in a smaller market.
Paul, just to sum up, retailers have been listening to us. They all have a website. Some of them are first class, some of them are lacking. Everybody wants to be able to play the game well these days. They want to have a good website.
Yeah.
What are the things that they should look at their sites to determine, hey, I really need to put some more work into this project?
Well, like you said earlier, benchmark. If you've got someone that you admire, a retailer that you admire, take a look at their site. They're doing something right. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But as Brian Graycon would say, take a website safari, and take a look at that stuff. Take a look, and not only just through your eyes, but through your key associates' eyes as well. Spend some time in order to benchmark with sites, whether they're other floor covering dealers or just in the home improvement sector at all. I mean, within reason, of course. I mean, but you can always learn things from Home Depot or Lowe's too.
Well, and there's lots of first-class operations out there, and as you say,
it all begins with research. I mean, I would say, yeah.
Well, and I think giving a hard look to each person's website, is this really competitive, or was I just trying to get this project over with so I could get back?
Well, first rule of websites and first rule of digital is it's never over. So
that's true.
I mean, you're never done with it. When you do a print ad, you can send it to the publication and we're done. It's gone. Yeah. And it'll live for a certain season, then it'll be thrown in the trash, right? Yeah. Not so with digital. You're never done with it.
Well, and just to wind up, remember back some of the dollars you used to spend in media, such as Yellow Pages.
Right.
And digital isn't free.
Right.
You're going to have to spend to get people through your front door.
Right.
And maybe that's a good place to leave it.
Okay, it's fine with me, but we can talk more. We can keep talking, but that's good. That's a good place.
Paul, always great having you on. Learn a whole lot. And this is certainly where retailers' future is.
Absolutely.
Is with the internet. Thanks for talking with us.
Sure, absolutely.
We've been talking with Paul Friederichsen. He is the president of Brand Biz. And do check out his LinkedIn site, because I just read a couple of your articles before we did this, and I was very impressed. He is the head of the branding and advertising agency, as I mentioned, Brand Biz. And this is Top Floor TV.